welcome back to That Fantasy Show. Since I won 6 picks last night, this is my show now. And you know how I like to start, so let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball.
And since this is my show now, I'm going to get into my pick 6.
Yes, ma'am. All right, jumping right into Ella's pick 6 on episode 6 of That Fantasy Show. Like she said, she runs the show now, and we're going to show you why. So, all right, Ella's season record, 14-16, but I think we'd be remiss if we did not talk about last week. So give me one moment here. So Ella's pick 6 last week. Here's the recap on the screen. A perfect 6 for 6.
Woo! We'll do this a lot. 6-0. I can't believe it. Perfect. That's perfect. You can't be any better than perfect. So, since we went perfect last week, let's get into this week and see what Ella thinks. Maybe you can win some money. If you would have played all 6 of those last week, guarantee you would have got a couple bucks.
All right, so we're going to jump right into this week's picks. We got the summary on the screen here. Jags, Bears, Bucks, Saints, Commanders, Ravens. You can see the rest, so we'll just jump right into it. All right, Jaguars and Bears. Let me just pull it up on the other screen so Ella can see it. So this is the first one here, Ella. Who do you like between Jaguars and Bears?
And this game is actually happening right now in London.
Yeah, 9:30 a.m.
But we
kickoff
don't
for
know
us.
what's going on because we haven't checked any scores. We've been busy with our show. But when you see that, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chicago Bears, 2 of your favorite picks this season, who do you like?
I love the Bears and I love the Jaguars, but I'm just going to have to go with the Bears. I love them.
Okay, Bears. Lock in the Bears.
Lock in
One
the
of Ella's
Bears.
favorites.
Get party in the USA vibes over here. It's drowning me out, but that's okay. All right, next one. Lions, Cowboys. Fan favorite. We got a lot of Lions gear if you haven't noticed. We are based in Michigan.
Detroit. Ella, when you see the Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys, who do you like?
The Cowboys.
Ooh.
Hey, Cowboys. Hey, when you go 6-0, you can pick whoever you want, huh?
Yep, those are the rules.
All right, Cowboy
Just
up.
gotta
I'm
live
gonna
by
go
'em.
ahead and lock that in.
I hope for our sake this is wrong this week, but I don't know.
Huge game this week, either way.
Oh yeah, we got
But-
a 4 p.m. kickoff, 4:20 ish. So that'll be later in the afternoon. But yeah, everyone's hyped up for that.
And no matter which side you root for, you're gonna be watching that. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
national game, and that should be exciting.
Heck yeah. All right. Chargers, Broncos. Who do you like in this one?
The Broncos.
Broncos favorite, not even a question. One of your favorite picks. I'm gonna lock that in too here, sweetie. Hello,
Moving on
what do
from
you
Broncos.
think for your next selection? The Washington Commanders at the Baltimore Ravens.
What team?
The Washington Commanders, the W, or the Baltimore Ravens, that little bird.
Oh, I'm going to have to go with the bird.
Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens.
She didn't take the dub, but she might still get the dub.
Okay, what do we got next?
We got Bucks and Saints. So we got the pirate flag over here, and then I can't remember the name of that symbol, but that is the New Orleans Saints logo.
Pirate.
Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay
Lock 'em in for the
Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay
Obviously,
Buccaneers.
one of Ella's favorites.
Captain Cuts.
Mm. Captain Cuts is a Home Depot animatronic this year. If you are into Halloween, I did purchase it this year since a big favorite of Ella's. So I think gets the pirate love from there. All right, moving on to your last pick. We got the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. That's right down here. We got Buffalo and then the Jets. It's like an airplane.
The Jets.
And that's the Monday night game. That's going to be a big game. We've never picked a Monday night game, so now we can sit together and watch that one, and we got some rooting interest there. So you think the Jets. Okay, so let me lock that one in. So far, I believe I have 4 selections for Ella.
Oh, we went through all 6.
And we went through the Ravens. And what is the last one, Ella?
She picked them all. She picked, all right, so we got Jets, Bucks, Ravens. Which out of Chargers, Broncos?
Bucks. Buccaneers. Okay, so let's lock those in. Ella's
We're a little
pick 6.
discombobulated this week, but that's okay. We got the 6 in there. It's on the broadcast. The receipts are there.
So if you're following along all season, Ella's record this year, 14-16, very respectable for a 6-year-old girl.
Absolutely.
So congratulations there.
Yeah, I think last week really brought her up to average. You know, starting a little slow, but I don't know, historic week last week. Let's see if we can repeat it. All right. So
Not bad. I think we're all done here, Miss Ella. You want to tell your people goodbye?
Bye-bye.
Thanks for giving the show back, Ella. We appreciate it.
Anyway, welcome in to week 6 of That Fantasy Show. I am your host, Michael Amen, your friendly local neighborhood YouTuber, and all of my homies hate the Yankees. And I'm also joined by
Brian Wilczek.
Brian Wilczek. And
If you caught the shorts this week, the Woody nickname is making a resurgence. So
And it's been tough for me to not refer to you as that because that's how I've known you the whole time I've known you as Woody. But
yeah, this was a very popular high school nickname and post high school, and it just happened. Most of the people we play fantasy football with worked with me at Red Robin. That's where we met, and I was introduced as Woody to most people. Some history on the Woody nickname. My last name Wilczek. I didn't have a nickname in 7th grade baseball. They're like, "Oh, what can we call you?" So Woodchuck sounded like Wilczek, so Woodchuck stuck, and then eventually it just got shortened to Woody. So
there it is. So
Yep.
now if you see that video or future videos making its round, now it makes sense. Now you know who he is.
now you know what Woody's Roundup is referring to.
So anyway, let's do a
Yeah.
recap. Week 5, how'd things go?
Yeah, week 5. Well, if you caught that Thursday game, Atlanta Falcons, they really put up a show.
That game was pretty exciting. Again, that was another one where I was expecting to be under, and I believe it went over. And what are you going to do?
And other winners of the week, I didn't say Bengals. Yeah, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, they really put up some good numbers for you.
Yes, and that was exciting. If you own those guys, you finally got some value out of them. They had extremely well weeks, so they both went over 40 points in most formats. And there's a couple other high scores of the week, and it was nice. And there was a lot of situations where there were people that you didn't even hear of before. Tyrone Tracy coming in and still getting your fantasy team about 14 points. So there was guys, if you had injuries or bye week situations, you probably found some decent help last week. It was a pretty decent
yeah,
week.
And if you caught the recommendations, Josh Downs really put out last week. Sorry about the Dontavian Wicks recommendation. That was more of a bust.
It's
But,
hit or miss.
Yeah, it's hit or miss. But, I mean, we got one good one in there. So if you took that, you're happy.
And you're going to have to adapt as this season goes along because as everyone can tell, especially new people, injuries are happening all the time. And you couple that with these bye weeks and you're going to be starting guys you never heard of before. And don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to do that. I would trust someone I never heard of over someone that's older and washed any day of the week.
Yeah, just because they're a popular name doesn't mean you need to be loyal to them.
Well, pretty exciting week 2. 2 teams still stayed undefeated, Minnesota and Kansas City.
I think Minnesota might stay undefeated this week on account of a bye. You didn't get that joke.
So we're gonna be straight there, and I gotta be honest, I can't play that when we get copyrighted for that. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and find something else. So anyway,
Yeah, some busts off the top of my head. If you drafted Ayuk high, you've had high hopes. He finally put up some good numbers in week 4, and he comes in week 5 and like 2 catches. Like, what are you
yes.
doing, man? Debo did bounce back. Debo Samuel had a heck of a game, and George Kittle multiple touchdowns. So it's like it's really frustrating if you were holding out for Ayuk and that San Francisco offense is going away from him. I mean, it might be time just to leave him on your bench until he can prove that he can put up more than 1 week of good numbers. Unless you're in a bind, of course, and that happens a lot.
And
So,
speaking of the 49ers there, I have Jordan Mason, and I was expecting a touchdown the other night, and it was kind of sad again talking about injuries, but
yeah, we're back to reality, I think.
injury kind of prevented that.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, and some inactivities for this week. Brian Robinson Jr. out of Washington. Malik Neighbor still hasn't cleared a concussion protocol. It's been 2 weeks. That's
Yeah.
a tough one. And another surprise one, Ramondre Stevenson. Looked like he was going to go, but they ruled him out.
yeah, so then both of those backups behind those guys are projected for huge weeks. So if
Oh,
you
yeah.
have either one of those guys and you're lucky enough to get their backup, you're in good position. If you were searching for somebody, that one of those backups is going to be available to help you.
Yeah, and the chat is lit up this morning. John G, he reminding us that T. Higgins hit. You almost guaranteed a touchdown, and he provided.
I
So that was
almost
cool.
guaranteed it. I said 70 plus
I
percent.
take those odds any day.
And thanks, John. I was pretty confident, but you don't want to be up here in front of a microphone and a camera and tell somebody, "Oh, this is gonna happen." But
Yeah.
I almost exactly felt that way. I was more confident in a chase touchdown, but yeah, there you go, John T. Higgins. And I look for more of the same in the future. The offense in Cincinnati is firing. It's the defense that has us looking silly, and we're still going to compete. And fantasy football doesn't matter with the actual NFL win-loss record, because if you have offensive fantasy Bengals, you're doing pretty well. And for the future, you look pretty well too.
All right, and we do have a question in the chat from Evan Gittleman. So before we get into that, let's just answer this question before we move on with the segment. So
Sure.
Pick one of the 3 in half PPR. So half PPR, you only get half a point per reception. We generally do PPR, which is 1 full point per reception. The options are Najee Harris, Wandale, or Jameson Williams.
So I got to be honest, being on the record already last week, I am selling on Najee Harris. I couldn't feel more strongly about that. Being that the other two, those were receivers, right? You said Wan'Dale Robinson
Yeah,
and
Wandale Robinson, Jameson Williams. I think personally, I
I would
gotta say Wandale just because Neighbors is out.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
that there's going to be targets to go around. That New York Giants offense can definitely move. And as I just said, the Bengals defense is not firing. So the Giants are going to get some fantasy stats for sure. And that's the Sunday night game tonight. So,
Yeah.
That's what I would do. What do you think? Are you in
Oh, I
agreement?
agree.
Or
Yeah, that would be my recommendation as well. But
It's-
of course, with fantasy, anything can happen. So
it's just tough to
Yeah.
trust Najee Harris. And
Mhm.
when you see the projection on your lineup there, because my wife owns him in her league, and we see the projection, and it'll get you going. Oh, 13, 14 points. Maybe this is the week it's finally going to happen. It hasn't happened yet, and I've just lost faith that it's going to happen.
Right.
It's week 6, and most people, this is like a do or die week, so you don't
Yeah,
got time to
that's
waste
a
on nobody.
perfect perfect example of a popular guy that you really are holding out hope for, and it might be time just to give up or to leave him on the bench and start someone else who could provide for you.
That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah. So thanks for the question. That's exactly what we want to do here. I think
We do want to help
yeah.
people out. I love that.
Yes. And now that we can get into our regular format here, just a couple notes. If you've been following baseball, there was a huge series between the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Guardians. Unfortunately, that did not fall the Tigers' way, but I think we had a historic run. They had like a percentage chance, like less than a percent of making the postseason coming out of the All-Star break, and they came through. We won that series against the Astros, and then we could have closed it out against the Guardians. We came really close, so I think that leaves hope for the future, right?
Yeah,
But,
so I wasn't gonna bring it up too much this week, but yeah, so I'm from Cleveland. I'm a Guardians fan, and that was a tense series, but we pulled out the victory, and I didn't want to get on here and mention that too much on the show to rub it in, but I did want to talk about something for a second because I kept some receipts. And I just want to say that there are certain fans that, take certain things too far. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit on the show with you, actually, Brian. When trash talk, things start to happen, what's too far? What constitutes too far? And the
Ooh.
reason I want to bring that up is because I have a job where I'm easily accessible. I work in a restaurant, SoCal, Middlebelt, Garden City. If you don't know, come check me out. But you can come in and it's an open kitchen. You can see me. We can chat. And yeah, I talk with a lot of people all throughout the day. I probably see about 200 people a day. And people were coming up to me, especially after the game 2, Tarek Scuba, Mr. Tarek Daniel. And people were coming up to me after game 3, where you guys had a 2-1 lead. And people were pretty confident that this was already over, and they were talking in a way that was like, directed to upset me or
Slightly
anger
aggressive.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with me, if you know me, I'm a reserved guy. I kind of keep most things to myself. I'm not going to be out there stepping on anyone's toes. But I think, trash talk, it makes things fun as long as you don't make it personal. Just don't make it personal. Just, it's all fun and games. And if you can keep
Right.
it like that, it's all good.
So,
Just don't
and then-
cross the line.
And I'm all for that exactly. If I talk to you on a regular, hey, that's cool. Especially if I speak to you about that. Those things are cool. I'm all for fun and dandy. But we got people that I worked with 8 to 10 years ago, 12 years ago, that want to hit me up and say something. Or there was guys that were already telling me how they have American League Championship Series tickets and just disregarding because
Hope
the
you can
baseball
sell those.
season was 6 months long, and no disrespect, but the Tigers were only good for 2 months. They were a sub 500 team for the other 4 months, but this Cleveland team was good for the whole 6 months. So I was just
Yeah.
feeling there was some disrespect instead of respect for opponents. And
Yeah. You know,
even Mr. Tarek Daniel himself, after game 2, there was actually a video clip of him walking off the mound where he screams to the Cleveland crowd to something that I would rather not mention on my show because we're a little professional and a family show, but something that was a little disrespectful. And it was unwarranted because we think as Clevelanders that guy's great. He's awesome. But like some of it was just...
Yeah, it's the heat of the moment stuff. Some things, they'll get into it and they regret it. But they're also the players, so they have a little more emotion in it than we do, as much as we'd like to think so.
Yeah.
I don't know, just to reel you in from your high with the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, if you caught that Oregon-Ohio State game, that was a real nail biter, and Ohio State, unfortunately, didn't make the cut. 1 point loss, and in recognition of that, I do have a Joey Harrington signed football here that I wanted to bring out just for
I'm
this.
actually a Joey Harrington fan. I was always a huge fan of
Yeah.
Joey Harrington. Never had a big beef with the Lions or
No,
anything.
and if you know Joey Harrington, he's a Oregon alum. He's on the cover of a video game, actually, one of the NCAA games, and then came to the league with a lot of hope, and it didn't really pan out. I like to blame that on the receiving staff. There was a lot of butterfingers out there if you were watching during that time. So no hate for Joey Harrington. So yeah.
And then to touch on the Buckeyes thing, I actually am one of the fans. Most fans are pretty confident in a lot of the Buckeyes games, but I didn't expect to win that one. Anytime you got to travel from one side of the country to the other side as the road team, I always think it's an advantage for the home team. Ryan
yeah.
Day in a big game on the road, it's a little suspect, but with the new college football format, these losses don't sting as much as they used to. One loss was a death sentence the last few years, but
12-team format, you're going to get a lot of multiple loss teams in there.
and the Big Ten's tough this year. We added
It
all
is
these
tough.
West Coast teams, and the Big Ten's tough. It's a gauntlet. You got to run
We are
through that.
in the
so.
era of mega conferences, so
Yeah, so it should be an exciting season. But so yeah, I feel like that was a great little recap there as we move on. We could
of course. Yeah, that's a good way to start the show. So we're going to get into our usual content. We're going to jump into the rankings. Before that, just to remind you, the buys this week: Chiefs, Vikings, Rams, Dolphins. If you had anybody on your starting lineup that's on those teams, you need to look right now and make a replacement. So with that, we're going to jump into our usual Fantasy Pros rankings. So I'm going to cut right over to that.
And speaking of the bye weeks this week, I wanted to mention that Brian and I myself have sort of a bye week next week as we
Yeah.
will not be here for our usual content. I'm actually going on the road for research, and I will be attending the Cincinnati Bengals and Cleveland Browns game.
I will be in Kentucky for a horror convention.
So we will not be giving you our scheduled local content next week, but we may have something in the works because I got kind of an idea for something. But
yeah, keep an eye on the channel. I have a feeling the shorts are going to be lit next week.
yeah, we'll get some
Yeah.
work in, and then like I said, I'll be attending Cleveland Browns Stadium, and I'll be at the tailgates. And if you know anything about tailgating in Cleveland, it's much more exciting than actually attending the football game. So really excited
Yep.
for that. Can't wait.
Yep. So mark us down for a bye for week 7.
Yeah,
on
so
that
the fantasy show by week 7. Back week 8 for our regularly scheduled content, though.
All right, so jumping back into it. So Fantasy Pros again. This is just fantasypros.com. We always sort by PPR format. That's point per reception. And as usual, we will start with the quarterback. So our idea here is, we just give you some deeper ranked guys that you might want to plug in. Obviously, you got a top 10, 15 person. You're probably going to go with them. So what do you like in quarterbacks, Mike?
So one of the first guys I like, even though he's trending down a bit, is Jordan Love. So he's going up against a matchup at home against the Arizona Cardinals. And that's another team I got a lot of respect for. But fantasy-wise, you can definitely go up and down on that defense. They've given up some points this year. The Arizona got a sneaky win against San Francisco last week, as called by Miss Ella. But obviously came back from his injury and was on fire against Minnesota. On the road last week. Not exciting fantasy week, but
slight letdown with a favorable matchup against a struggling Rams team.
Right. And then that's another case of going across the country on a road game. Like I said, I don't know what it is with those things, but it's definitely something different with your body and stuff. So now that they've been back home, got a favorable home matchup in that Green Bay crowd. Just love everything Jordan Love brings to the table this week.
Yeah, maybe Dontayvion Wicks will bounce back and help out my waiver recommendation.
And spread it around the receiving core there. It's definitely tough to figure out which one's going to get all of the work, but definitely good receiving core there.
Who else do you like?
So I also like Baker Mayfield, even though it's not a favorable matchup.
Yeah, we've mentioned him before on the show. I'm, definitely a fan of the guy. He has had a proven track record this year, and he's still not getting a lot of love in the rankings. He's down here at 13. Let's take a look at his game logs.
So
man,
when you
putting up
look at
some
the
good
game log,
20-point
that's
games.
one bad week.
One bad week, and then these are really good weeks
So
for you.
I don't understand. So New Orleans does have respectable cornerback play, and it's a division game right there, and it's a road game, so it's tough. But it's indoors, and New Orleans is starting a rookie quarterback. So, and it's just Spencer Rattler, who went to 2 colleges, so he's not a guy I'm excited on. So it's not like I expect New Orleans to be winning. I just expect that that's a game where the Bucks are in control a lot. There's some turnovers. They got a few possessions. Baker goes up and down the field.
Yeah, let's not forget the Bucks basically have 2 wide receiver ones in Evans and Godwin.
And one of them's a
Interchangeable.
certified first ballot Hall of Famer. So,
Oh, yeah.
like I don't understand why Baker's ranked so low here. Fantasy Pros, I got a lot of love and respect for you, but
Again, Fantasy Pros, it is an aggregate ranking, so it takes a broad amount of expert and analysts, and it just takes the mean, and then that's how we get the rankings.
Yeah,
out.
and when
So
I
there's
saw
gonna be
that-
some high and some low.
I saw the
Oh, yeah.
1-star ranking and I was like, okay, this is one where I'm going to go ahead and have to be
Yeah.
a little bit opposite of them.
Yeah, so it's just highlighting the tough matchup. But yeah, I would definitely start him if I had him. All right, anybody else
So-
on quarterback?
No one else. Like I said, good luck to you. There's obviously
Yeah.
some injury concerns still around the league. There's some bye weeks.
We do have a career debut for Drake May this week, so I would keep an eye on that. I actually stashed him in my league just in case he goes off. You never know. There was a guy in New England 20-some years ago that had an opportunity, and we all know him as the GOAT now.
So, and this is a kid, I definitely like this kid, but I'm typically not starting rookies in a
Oh, no.
debut. But, however, I do like this kid, and I wish him well. I would not start him if I had to, but he's a guy, if you got some room on your bench, like you said, roster him.
keep an eye out. It might be worth a stash. All right.
Exactly.
With that, we're going to move on to running backs.
What do you think of this music? I got to keep doing this copyright-free music, man. I'm not trying to get
Hey,
shut down,
I'm
so...
feeling the vibes. It's some good stuff.
Tried to have a little more higher energy last week. Hopefully you can hear it a little better in the background, so we're not just all monotone, but this one's got a little more high energy than last week, so I
Yeah.
like it. Running back position, again, if you know us, you've been following along, not our favorite position.
It is tough. It's tough.
However, there's some good matchups this week, and one of the guys I wanted to finally touch on, we talked about the big three not necessarily performing as expected this year, but I like Bijan Robinson's matchup this week. Just Carolina on the road, a division game. Obviously, the last time we saw this Atlanta offense, oh my God.
Oh yeah, and they're coming off a little extra downtime since they had the Thursday game last week, so they get a few extra days of rest, so they should be fresh coming into this. Yeah, he's had a tough, Yeah.
So that's a
tough,
respectable game log for scoring.
but not for your first round pick.
Yes, and that's exactly what a lot of people's problem is. We passed up on receivers that are getting 15 to 20 a game for a guy who's barely averaging, maybe 11 or 12 a game there. But I do like his matchup this week. Carolina team up and down.
Yep.
I said I would stamp the table for him, but you don't need us to tell you to start him. You're obviously starting him.
Who else do we like?
So Bucky Irving, another guy you've mentioned a few times.
Yeah.
It looks like he's taken over a starting role there.
Yeah, he was I think he had a fumble last week, but I would keep an eye out for a bounce back.
And then that touches right along with, like I said, with the Baker Mayfield recommendation. I do expect Tampa Bay to be in the lead. Also foreshadowing the gambling, I'm going to go ahead and just expect him to get a lot of late work where they're up with the lead and they're just trying to run out the clock.
Yeah, don't be discouraged by the 4 points last week. I think he's trending in the right direction, and that's usually worth the start, especially when you're working with buys and injuries. So this might be a guy you take a gamble on.
Yeah, sometimes you got to trust the guy. That's a guy I would trust regardless. One bad week's not going to start me, especially when he's that young. Like I said, decent matchup for him today. Bucky Irving, stamp the table for him.
All right.
Pretty high energy still. Like I said, we got to do something.
Yeah, we're feeling it. All right. Anybody
It's free
else?
though, copyright free.
Yep.
Tyrone Tracy was a name we recommended last week, and he had a respectable week. I believe he got about 14 points for your fantasy team, and that's what you need. You're trying to just plug and play a guy. Somebody's out. The running back position, it's not that exciting. They're not dropping 25 to 30 every week. That's pretty rare. If you get that, you're lucky. But if you want something that's consistent and average, that's exactly what you're looking for right there.
Yeah, that's the name of the game in fantasy is what moves can you make and where can you win in the waiver wire. And a lot of times it's going to be taking gambles on guys you don't know how they're going to do, and that might be the difference in a win or a loss.
And I know so many people that will not even pick up a guy because they've never heard of him, and then that guy goes out and gets 15 points, and your running back got 4 points, and you never heard of him. It's just okay. You could spend a couple minutes on Google, and you can sit here and find out information about any of these guys. And that was a guy I knew last week, and respectable. Like I said, I'm starting a guy that's going to give me 14 points every week.
Absolutely. All right.
So outside of that,
one thing I did want to mention, I see Jerome Ford's name here. I mean, with Chubb out, you were hoping this guy was going to be your dude. It's kind of been a bumpy road, but I do hear Chubb is coming back for week 7. So if he's sitting there on your league, I would pick him up now. That's a very favorable stash.
and Ford's a lot of people's popular pick to score a touchdown today. Again, a gambling recommendation, but for fantasy, I'm not necessarily high on him, but he's probably going to get a respectable number for you. Like I said, it's pretty thin at this position, so outside of the top 20.
Just touch on that to highlight Chubb's return.
Yeah, and that's another exciting thing since I'll be in attendance for that game, and I'm a huge Nick Chubb fan. That's a great story. Glad to see him back.
Do you have a Chubb jersey, Mike?
I don't have a Chubb jersey. Maybe I need to add that to my collection. I ended up with a Beckham, and I have a Peyton Hillis. He was one of my favorite Browns, but yeah, Chubb, very respectable. My next Browns one, that's definitely going to have to be one. Hopefully he retires there, has another few years left in the tank.
Yeah, he's had a solid career aside from the injuries. But we're going to jump over to wide receiver rankings. This is our bread and butter.
My favorite position. So, again, typical guys, I like Jamar Chase, not just because he's on my fantasy team, but because last week, if you've seen the insane output that he had, I feel like he's locked in now. The contract thing is no issue. Joe Burrow's spreading the ball around a lot, but...
Yeah, these are first round fantasy pick numbers that you want and expect.
And that's the
20,
difference.
30 point weeks, you need them.
And that's the difference between picking the running back in the first round. right there. So
Oh yeah,
it's more likely
much more upside than receivers.
to get more. And they had a slow start there, but I look for him to still be around the 20-point range for the rest of the season. And that's exciting if you're a Jamar Chase owner. But again, as we say, you don't need us to help with the top few positions at receiver of these rankings. Pretty good names right there, prime for a big day. Obviously, the Tampa Bay guys, as Brian mentioned. It gets a little more cloudier for me down towards the 20 range because I have people ranked inside the top 20. So it's always tough for me to sit here and rank people. I do stash people in this 20 range. So, I mean, guys that I look to stash, I'm a huge fan this week of Tank Dell. Obviously, Nico Collins is out. Tank Dell was a guy that I had on one of my teams, my Dynasty League last year. I ended up using him as a trade because I also own Nico Collins. But with Nico Collins out, this ball's going to get its way to Tank Dell's hands today.
Yeah,
quite
Tank
a
Dell
bit.
had a good year last year, and he really upped his value. So that's a good trade collateral right there.
And a great matchup today against the 1-4 team. Starting a rookie quarterback, I just expect a big day out of him. Again, the top 20 guys I really love. Outside of the top 20, Tank Dell I really love. Starts to get a little thinner for me because again there's bye weeks, so now you're gonna sit here and take some shots on guys. So
I mean, you look at Smith and Jigba. If you have Metcalf, you obviously been let down. This guy is getting his targets. He hasn't had a huge week aside from week 2, but he might be due for one, especially if Metcalf is struggling.
And then also I wanted to mention with Spencer Rattler starting in New Orleans, I'm kind of sell on all New Orleans position players.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Just because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't care if they're at home. Spencer Rattler never excited me in college. I never seen nothing out of him in college.
No.
I'm not like trying to bury the guy or nothing. I'm just saying for fantasy purposes, maybe look for another option. So I'm not even starting a Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. Like I said, it's just tough for me. It looks like a good matchup here on the rankings, but again, this is one where I kind of disagree a little bit with fantasy pros.
That. Absolutely.
I mean, not saying that it couldn't go the other way, but yeah, I'm out on that.
Yeah, it's tough pickings. And
out on the Saints.
All right, anybody else you like?
Well, there's your guy Josh Downs down there with
down
Anthony Richardson coming back this week, and
yeah, that's gonna definitely.
It changes things a little bit, but that's a favorable matchup. So it's just against the Tennessee Titans today, a struggling team.
2 solid weeks in a row with Flacco, and we'll see how he fares with Richardson. Maybe they can get some chemistry in the past.
Again, he's getting targeted a lot, and why wouldn't you? He's got a lot of talent, so hopefully they work something out there. But outside of that, not too much else I like in receiver. Again, wish you luck. There's bye weeks, but
yeah, some of those key injuries. Neighbors definitely a top 5 receiver this year, and he's out. So and that's why we recommended Wandell. So
yeah, I mean you're in a crapshoot outside of the top 30 there. I do like Wandell though. Big targets. Daniel Jones, he throws the ball a lot. Like I said, I mean you can think however you want about that guy. I'm on the table of being a fan of him, but.
He's still low on the roster, so you could probably plug and play him this week.
He's available, I believe, in both leagues that we're in right now, or he's at least available in the fantasy league, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's worth a play.
Wandale Robinson.
Especially if you're in a bye. All right, let's go to the wasteland. Tight end position.
Tight ends. And Brock Bowers, again, he's obviously fantasy leading scorer this year in PPR formats, and it's a name I like. He's the up and coming. He's the future at the tight end position in the fantasy world.
I'm feeling good about trading up to get him in the Dynasty League. That has definitely helped me out. Tight end was my weakest position by far. And I don't know, really rounded my team out with that.
Yeah, excellent pick right there. Again, thin position here. I'm out on Kyle Pitts, even though he rebounded a little bit the last time we seen him. I'm not gonna trust him. I've seen this before. It's tough right here. Tucker Kraft, if you were able to get him. Dalton Kincaid, it's a tough matchup this week. Tucker Kraft
has been pretty solid last couple weeks.
Yeah, he's actually already bumped his way up to, I believe, 5 overall in fantasy scoring for tight ends in PPR format. So
yeah, this has been a weird year. You had high hopes for Laporta, and Kelsey. But Kelsey, he's kind of coming into it now, and I think Laporta will get going, but it's more of a patience game.
Yeah, the big names are down, and that's
Right.
tough to swallow. But
Baltimore is just keeps getting worse. They got a third guy out there catching touchdowns. His name is not Mark Andrews. So.
yeah, and I'm out on all Baltimore tight ends. I
Yep.
got no faith in anything like that. Not because I don't think any of them are good. It's just because I don't know which one's going to be good that week.
No, you don't know. And it's if there's a guy in the top 12 you can get your hands on, I'll definitely take them over any of the Baltimore options.
Yeah, outside of that, you're just plugging a guy and hoping he gets you at least 6 or 7 points and doesn't get you like 0. So
Mhm.
it's a tough position there. Again, wish you well, but nothing I can do there. So I'm doing pretty good getting the copyrights going. I'm not letting any
Yeah.
ads going.
We're learning.
We're-
We're making progress. Is good.
I've got flagged every week for something for copyright, and we're looking for this week to
It might have been the
hopefully-
stream start video last
the stream
week.
start video last week is
Yeah.
what got us. And I'm like I said, we're not trying to steal anybody's music or anything, but that stream start video last week, there's this band from Manchester, England, and they do live music covers of hip hop music, and I just enjoyed that so much, so I just thought I'm gonna bring that to my show. No disrespect to the fellas, but I'm not gonna play that anymore. Thank you though.
Great. So I'm gonna jump over to the camera here for a moment. We could just shoot the shit for a second. I'm gonna get the bets here lined up.
Okay, so yeah, if we could go into our week 6 gambling recommendations, there are 3 things I'm really excited about. I can't wait to put my money to the table. Last week we went 2-1 with our gambling picks, and I do have a season-long record of 10-7, which is about 59%, I believe. Not too bad. I'd like to be about the 65% mark, especially for the gambling world. You know how that goes. It's a
Oh, yeah.
roller coaster.
If you're over 50%, you're winning.
Yeah, and that's all profit if you're over 50%, but typically 65%, that's the number I want to be at. Hopefully this week, I only have 3 recommendations. I could get out of hand and go more, but I'm trying to gamble responsibly,
Mhm.
not reckless. And everything's not a parlay, even though parlays are fun, and it's nice to dream and get rich big, but that slow come up feels good. 2-1 last week, and I ate good on Monday, and Thursday I had some recommendations, and I actually didn't play them because I was too caught up in all of this baseball stuff. So
Oh yeah, that's definitely been a distraction from the football world, especially for our fan bases.
yes, it was definitely a little bit of a distracting week. And then also wanted to upload a couple more shorts this week for the show, but I realized that the next video that was uploaded to the channel was the channel's 50th video posted, which to me this is a big deal because the channel's less than 2 months old. Even though I have had the YouTube thing exist, I haven't been posting content for 2 months. Is the anniversary, I believe, on Wednesday. And just an update on how we're going, this is video 50 once it's posted. By the time the 2-month anniversary hits, we'll have had 7,500 views on our channel. 7,500.
Wow, that's pretty good for something you didn't expect to do this year. It just kind of came on a whim. If you were following along on our fantasy league on Fantrax, that closing with Steve, kind of stuttering here. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, we did the rookie draft. Just all Mike made some incredible videos, and he's like, "How do I share these?" Let's just throw them on YouTube, right? And he's getting tons of views. Kind of sparked this interest. Let me do a fantasy show. I think that's something I've always wanted to do, and it's just been a catalyst for that.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to join you in this, and we're gonna.
Yeah, and I wouldn't
See where
say
we
it
can
was
go.
blowing up or we're going viral, but
No.
just some silly little videos started doing some numbers, 400 or 500 views, and I'm like, hold on, man. And this is a dream. You're right. This is always something I wanted to do. I wanted to talk sports. I wanted to have a show, and I have those things. They exist, and now I want to be good at those things. And I know we're not good yet or great yet, but we're on our way. We're 2 smart guys. We're gonna figure everything
we'll
out.
figure
But
it out. Yeah, I just like to say, fantasy sports really got me into football more. I would follow the local team, but not much more besides that. And then if you jump into a fantasy league, you're looking at the whole league, not just your favorite team. So
and there's a market for this,
yeah, so
And then it's just to say it again and make it sound like a bigger number, 7,500 views. Like, to me, that sounds unheard of and impossible, but it
Yeah.
happened.
I mean,
and then
there's people making millions of views, but I mean, just for your 2 local guys and just throwing something
just
together.
friendly local neighborhood YouTubers.
Yes, sir.
But, and then also when you look in the analytics of all of those views and stuff, we've been viewed in over 27 different countries. And 7% of them are in Iraq, which just sounds weird that, we've reached the Middle East, we've reached the Philippines, we've reached Africa, we've reached England, we've reached South America, and it's just silly little videos. And
Yeah.
that kind of gets the juices flowing just to know whether it was good or not. The reach is there, and if we just get better at it, we can actually get better at it. So,
Yeah.
someone was asking me a goal or what the ceiling was, and I don't think there is a ceiling. So I'm just gonna
yeah.
keep going. But obviously, I don't think we're good yet. But I don't think we're far from that. And
Yeah,
obviously,
I
we're
think-
far from great, but we're on our way. So
We're gonna figure it out. I think we're making small improvements. If we're not, let us know. But we're gonna keep pushing.
and
So
I like
think,
this little techno playlist
Yeah.
I got going today. It was a little more energy to try to keep it going because
Yeah.
sometimes I sound a little monotone. But
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 I'm
anyway.
the king of monotone. So you don't have to tell me that.
and both of us together, so we got to do something. But anyway, we're working on it. We're gonna get much better at that. But
What do you say? Yeah, let's jump into the bet.
So we are
gotta
going to go
queue it
over
up.
to the gambling recommendations for week 6. There's 3 things that I love, and what do you got loaded up here first so I know which one I'm going to talk
All right.
about first? So in this matchup, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Denver Broncos, I can't believe that the Denver Broncos are at home and they are getting 3.5 points, or 3 points, excuse me. The Denver Broncos are winning flat out, 3-2. They're pulling off upsets, 3 points at home, and the Chargers ain't exactly blowing teams away, and that's a low over/under total right there.
Oh,
So
very low.
I'm stamping the total. I'm sold on Bo Nix. Like I said, I don't think these guys are going to win a Super Bowl or anything, but this matchup right here, plus 3 points, Denver Broncos at home, I'm betting my money on that.
Damn. There it is. Broncos +3.
Broncos plus 3. I'm not going to get into 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. I'm just confident in that, so I really like that.
Moving on.
So in this next matchup I foreshadowed earlier, Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road at the New Orleans Saints, and Tampa Bay is minus 3.5 points on the spread line, and I'm rolling with the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. I'm a Baker stan.
Especially with that Saints quarterback situation that we've already talked on.
I also had another stat here actually for in that game. Against the spread, Tampa Bay's 3-2, just like their record, but like I said, I like them in this spot. Rookie quarterback in New Orleans. I don't know what's going on. I think they win by at least 10 points or more. So I'd put my name on that, and that's where I'm putting my money. Tampa Bay, minus 3.
Right there it is. Tampa Bay -3.
What you got loaded up next? I
Moving
forgot.
on. One more game in here. Colts Titans.
Colts Titans. This is a scenario where I can't believe that the Indianapolis Colts, which are clearly to me the much better team, are getting points on the road against the Tennessee Titans. Now I know the Titans are at home, but we've seen their quarterback. There's been some memes floating around about Mr. Will Levis.
Oh yeah.
I don't like
Fire memes this year.
I don't like to pile on
Provided.
people when they're down, but those memes have been hilarious.
Yeah.
But the Indianapolis Colts on the road plus 2.5. Book it. I'm putting my money on that. And actually, I would recommend the parlay of all 3 of those this week because I feel like Miss Ella last week, the flames rubbed off onto me, and I'm going 3-0 this week. Put my name on that. Indianapolis Colts
Here
plus
are the
2.5.
Colts. All right, Richardson might help him out there.
And I like Richardson coming back, and I think he scores a touchdown himself today. But
So again, here's a summary of what we touched on.
look at Broncos, Buccaneers, Colts. Lock it in. Mike's Week 6 gambling recommendations.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
Yeah,
That's all I got. I'm not going to tell you to do anything else. There's guys I think that'll score touchdowns, this and that. If you got questions, I'll give you a percentage wise, but that's all I'm betting my money on today.
John G likes the over in the Chargers Broncos game as well. I mean, yeah,
John, I would agree with that.
Yeah, 35.5. That is very low for an NFL
Yeah,
game.
I could see that easily being 20 something, 20 something. So, yeah, John, I agree with you 100%.
All
Good
right.
recommendation there.
Yep. Here's our summary: Bucks, Broncos, Colts.
Kind of like the over in that Buccaneers game, but I'm not going to recommend that to bet, but I'm leaning that way. Man, I can't wait till election season's over so we can stop seeing all these political ads.
I
Here
know
we
they're
go.
everywhere. They got your phone number. They got your mailing.
You've been getting
address.
texts too?
Oh, so many texts. Both sides are just like flooding.
I got texts like 8 times this week.
Oh,
Okay, I thought it was
it's
just
insane.
me. I got Metro PCS, so I just thought like,
I'm over on Verizon, and
yeah, I just thought they were selling my info.
No, yep, you got the signs everywhere. You got the ads. they'll come back to back on TV. Like no
It's
matter where
it's a
you look.
huge decision coming up, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely overseeing all the propaganda ads and political
Yeah, I think
stuff.
it's something
yeah.
to do with being a swing state too. We're highly targeted in Michigan. If your state, is definitely one way or the other, like no matter what, you're probably not seeing as many ads as we are up
Yeah,
here. So
yeah, it is ridiculous
Yeah.
around here. But
all right, enough of that. Let's take some time and jump into the Closing with Steve League. What do you say?
let's go over to the Closing with Steve League and see how we are doing for week 6. Are we going to jump into the standings first and we'll check out and see where everybody is? I actually have that queued up too. And I was hoping we were going to get to that this week because
Yeah, here we are. So here's our standings. Again, this is on Fantrax, the Closing with Steve League. It's a league that Mike and myself are both in with most of our Red Robin alums. And, this is a dynasty league, so you keep your entire team for the next year, and you just do a rookie draft. And it's definitely a different format, and it brings a lot of fun into it, especially if you've been doing the standard redraft leagues for a long time. It's definitely something new, and I enjoy it.
I'm pretty sure 9 of us or 8 of us on this list have actually closed with Steve. Which
Oh yeah, so I was thinking about that too. There's at
Yes.
least 8 people that worked at Red Robin. We all worked there at the same time as
Yes.
Steve.
Miami and also Las Vegas, those owners, Damien and my guy Pat, they did not close with Steve, so they have no idea.
But if you're watching, Steve was a famed. I don't want to say famed. What's a better word? Infamous. He was an
Yeah.
infamous cook at Red Robin.
And if you close with him, you'll be there forever.
Yeah, something called
Oh.
milking the clock. This man was an expert. You end up doing all the work just so you can leave, and he would stick around to wipe off the same spot a little
Oh.
longer.
Bro, I wanna
Steve,
go
if you're
home.
watching, all the love, but
No,
it
Steve, no
definitely
love.
is-
I hate closing with you, bro. Steve, go on somewhere, man. That is worst times of my life. Anyway,
Oh, boy.
in this
Hey.
in this fantasy league, though, so if you look at the standings, 1 and 2 right there, that's kind of interesting because those happen to be.
That's me and you.
Oh my God, I can't believe
That's
that.
me and you. And furthermore, we're playing each other this week.
Oh my God, so we're not going to be
Wow.
1-2 after this week. So that's
No.
it. So, exciting matchup, and the reason me and Brian are at the top is because we are lucky, but also we are a little bit talented. This is a Dynasty League, and it's in year 2, so talent comes more into play than it does in a redraft league, but also luck is still a factor in fantasy football, and
Yeah.
I've been rather healthy this year, so I will call that lucky, besides the Christian McCaffrey injury. If
Ooh.
I had him, I feel like I would be putting the hammer down in this league,
Oh,
but
definitely point
Yes.
score.
but you got to ride the waves in these things. So,
Yeah. so-
California got their first win last week. That was pretty exciting. We'll go ahead and give that owner a round of applause.
He's not in last anymore. It's tied for last. So
Yeah, so this league, I still think it's pretty wide open. Last year, I had a chance in the last week to finish in 6th or in last place. So,
anybody could have made or missed the playoffs last year. It was
Yeah.
a very unique year where the last week of the season, anyone could have been in or out, except for maybe 2 guys.
and the talent level of these owners is there to where we all have a shot. You're just going to have to ride these bye weeks and injuries, and hopefully you can make it there. But yeah, pretty balanced league right now. There's some matchups that are going to be decisive this week. Like I said, myself and you, one of us will be 5-1, and someone will not. And a couple other interesting matchups coming along this week. Detroit and Scranton face off against each other. Washington and Miami, and Las Vegas, who got 64 points already from the Thursday game. He had 3 of his guys go. He's got a pretty important matchup against the Allenville Mean Machine.
Yeah, let's jump into the matchups.
And rounding out the matchup, Santa Cruz will be going against California, who's looking to get their 2nd win of the season. That's a pretty exciting team right there.
Yeah, definitely a head start there for Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz had a good Thursday. That was an exciting game.
There could be
Washington.
some London games going on too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah, we're
London
getting some
game
London
is
game
happening
going.
right now. This is our first into it.
Yeah.
We've been so busy with the show this morning. We have no idea what's going on
Looks
with this
like the
London game.
Bears are up 14-3 on the Jags.
Chat, what's good? Someone tell us the score of the London game.
14-3 right there.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you got some eagle eyes, you can see it there in the matchup. 2 points from Keenan Allen there.
Yeah, that's an exciting matchup
Go
right there.
Bears.
Looks like
Yeah,
Ben's
defense.
projected to win there. He finally started
Yeah.
Caleb Williams there. I like that. Good move there, Ben. You drafted him, go on ahead and play him, especially with Tua out. And I like the pickup there, Wandale Robinson for Ben. He's always been kind of thinner at the receiver position outside of St. Brown. Good for you, Ben. Let's see how that matchup goes.
Yes.
This is a decisive week, like I said, because
Exciting, yes.
getting closer. We only got 14 weeks in this league of regular season before the fantasy playoffs begin, and everybody's looking for a win right here, myself included. I don't care that we're before 1, Brian. I'm going for you.
Hey, likewise. I feel good about my chances this week.
You are projected, and honestly, I do feel like you could win, but
let me get a better view here.
So like I said, when Jordan Mason didn't find the end zone and he got injured on Thursday night, I feel like that pretty much sealed my deal. However, I'm going to need a big, exciting day if I'm going to have another shot. Burrow and Chase, maybe they can hook me up. Harrison, maybe.
Fantrax are giving me the percentages right now, but that doesn't mean much. But yeah, we got a lot of football to play. Yeah, Mason and Metcalf both underperformed for us, but there's a lot of guys here to go, and it could go either way.
Let's look at that Detroit matchup there. Interesting. Detroit and Scranton. I see a negative something there. So
Ooh, ETN minus 0.1. That hurts for me. I'm starting him in the family league. The spooky
and this is another name,
league.
since we were talking about rankings just a minute ago. I'm kind of out on ETN. This is another guy. I know I like to say to trust in people, but you also you got to know when to cut your losses here. And
I found myself starting him just because of the Brian Robinson Jr. injury that kind of caught me off guard, so I didn't prepare for a backup. So in my family league, I have him going. So I feel you there, John.
Well, for you and John, I hope he finds the end zone here second half. I definitely don't like to see that, but this is a name for the future. I'm starting to look for some insurance there. Oh, but that looks like a pretty fair, balanced matchup as far as the projections there. So
yeah, then
that could be a
50-50.
decisive one right there. So Scranton and Detroit, good luck, guys.
Yeah, still anybody's game.
Oh, let's do something we never do in this one. Jump over to the players section, and we'll just show people what's available on a waiver wire in a typical dynasty league. So
just let me get the window here for man. Give me a second.
no worries. So
All
I
right.
see as you got it set up right there, and I'll go ahead and cue this up on my side too. There's not a ton out there now. Bucky Irving's the biggest name that's been out there
Yeah.
for me, and he ended up getting caught up in the waivers. So
yeah, one thing to note, versus a typical redraft league, on the Dynasty League, we have a much wider bench. So we have a 10-team league, but we have 10 bench spots. So we have 20 roster positions per team. So that's more of like a 12 or 14-team redraft league type waiver wire format in terms of, what's out there in percentage of players that are on rosters versus that are not rostered. So it gets pretty thin out there because most people that, most of the sleepers or anything, the stashes, they're already on teams. So you got to look even deeper than that. So typically when you're looking online for advice, the first 75% of a column on an analyst is going to be people that are already taken in this league. So you got this last little chunk to go off of. So
yeah, so for the more expert players, you got to look a little deeper, and I hope that's what a lot of the guys in this league do. Like it touches on the point I was making earlier about you're going to have to start some guys you never heard of, and that applies in this league. You're going to have to know guys that are in line for running back positions even for next year. Okay,
Yeah.
this guy's a rookie, but next year this could be his job. So these are kind of moves you have to make in a dynasty league like that.
yeah, so those year 2 players definitely want to keep an eye on the rookies in year 1, and they could go off year 2. Obviously, we did the rookie draft, and a lot of those rookies are helping a lot of people. I mean, myself, Brock Bowers. If you have Neighbors, he's been the guy this year up until the injury. There's a few other people.
Yeah, if you make the right selections there, that's going to be the only way. And again, in the rookie selection, it's kind of the same thing. You got to take a chance. I never heard of this guy. Or, if you follow along with college football. But just to show, it's pretty thin right there. And then another point just to show for this league is QBs are still available in dynasty leagues. A lot of the expert guys don't necessarily feel the need to carry a second quarterback. I know that's not necessarily a move I make. When Joe Burrow's bye week comes up, I'll find a guy, but sometimes that's an advantage you can have for an extra roster spot where you can take a chance on a running back or receiver instead of rostering a guy you can't start 2 quarterbacks every week.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, personally, I like if I don't have a sure and fired starter every week. I picked up Baker off of waivers, who's been solid. Last year I was running with Cousins, and then obviously the Achilles injury, but I had Herbert, and then Herbert went out, and I'm picking up Stafford for my playoff run last year. That
And
was
in that
crazy.
scenario, you roll with two guys there.
Yeah, so I still have Herbert, who hasn't really come to fruition this year, but I'm still rolling with Baker.
Right.
And then it's worth just stashing a guy to see how he
Right.
does, even if it's for half a season, because you have so many spots. So
Right. And if you got one of the top guys, that's a scenario where you don't necessarily need to do that. But in the scenario where you got the bottom
Yeah.
guys, but like as you can see, there's still, if you had to start a guy, if Joe Burrow was on a bye week this week, I'm plugging in Kirk Cousins right there, and it's a no-brainer for me. It's just for 1
Absolutely.
week,
Yeah.
so bye weeks, you don't have to necessarily keep a
Forget
guy
running back.
for the whole year that's just going to cover 1 week. You can just pick somebody up for that 1 week.
Ooh,
And
we
this
still
is
got Antonio Gibson here. This is a strong play in running backs if you need a dude.
Yeah, and in this league, there's a couple guys caught up in that waiver position, and they're not just
Yeah.
going to be available till the
Let's
following
look at the
week.
tight
but-
ends. This is just going to be horrible.
yeah, so
at
again, this
this.
is another scenario where there's not much going
Yeah,
on. So,
all dice rolls here.
so again, this is how an expert league operates. A lot of roster spots, and a lot of people are up on the talent. So a lot of the good names, they're already
All right.
scooped up.
What do you say? Let's transition back to our camera here. We're gonna go back to the chat just before we end.
What's
we
up,
do
chat?
have another question in the chat, so I'm
Chat,
liking
let's
that
go.
this
I
week.
love helping the chat. Please,
All
please, please ask questions.
We got a question here from Dylan. We got a full PPR league. Pick 2 flex. Antonio Pierce at Tennessee. Dontavian Wicks versus Arizona. Douglas versus Houston. Rashad Bateman versus Washington. He says, I'm leaning Wicks, Bateman, because I trust their QBs more. And they should be higher scoring games. So who do you like there? Guys?
So I like Douglas. That was Douglas in New England, right?
So Douglas versus Houston. So let's take a look here.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, Demir Douglas. Yeah, I'm actually have him in the Dynasty League, and I'm a big fan of him. So if you're asking me, he's one guy. So we're picking 2 guys out of that.
2 guys at a
So
Pierce,
Pierce.
Wicks, Douglas, and Bateman.
So Pierce, that's a boomer bust selection for me, and
same with Wicks, to be honest.
yeah,
because
and I'm a fan of both of those guys, but I wouldn't necessarily pick them. And what's the 4th guy?
Bateman.
Bateman. Ooh, this is a tough one. I would go with Bateman just because the other 2 are more boom or bust to me. I think
So Bateman, Douglas.
Yeah, Bateman and
All right.
Douglas. I think Bateman would be a little more steady, and I like Douglas actually having Drake May. Like I said, I expect them to be able to throw the ball. I do expect turnovers, rookie quarterback, but he's not starting Drake May. But
Yeah.
Demir Douglas is clearly the best receiving option there. I'm already a huge fan. That's my opinion, if you're asking me.
Yeah, and I think Drake May has been undervalued so far. I mean, he didn't get the start, and that just comes down to the organization. A lot of them just throw him to the
Right.
fire. But I was pretty high on Drake May. I actually drafted him in our rookie draft, and I was hoping he would.
I feel like he's going to get the ball down the field too, which is
Yeah.
something where Brissett was struggling a little there. I know they don't have the best offensive line, but maybe Drake May at least can, let it fly, get some targets out there
yeah.
for Douglas.
So what does he have to lose?
Yeah, I think they've pretty much cashed in on the season anyway, but
Yeah.
regardless, yeah, Douglas is the best fantasy receiving option there in New England. Huge on him. Pierce, it's up and down for the Colts there. This guy could have 3 catches for
Yeah,
like 120 yards, or he could do 1 catch for 12.
I'm afraid of Anthony Richardson throwing the football.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
So,
I'd probably definitely recommend not trusting Pierce at least, and then you can whittle it down from the other
yeah,
3.
Dontavian Wicks. I mean,
I like
you were-
Jordan Love going off
yeah,
today,
I mean,
so
I was high on him last week, but he didn't do much. I mean, we had Watson out, and he still didn't do a lot. So, I mean, I think Wicks is a boomer bust, but I think your safer bet, as Mike alluded to, Bateman and Douglas.
yeah. Hope I'm not wrong though, but
Nope. Yeah.
that's my opinion there for you.
Take that.
I'll take that. And I love the chat being interactive, like I said. And a lot of people watch this after the fact, but for the few people that are tuning in live, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
man.
awesome.
That's
We got
pretty
some
cool.
new names in here. We'll definitely. I think we're gonna figure the format out. We'll probably have a Q&A section. We'll just go through
That's
the
a
chat.
good idea. And
Yeah.
eventually we do in the future look to bringing in the Skype scenario where we can have guests on that we
Yeah.
will be able to put a video box up similar to
gonna be fun.
FaceTime, and then we can have other guests, and then we can also take more questions, even guest related.
And we are set up to have some in-person guests as well. We have some extra couches down here. This is a basement, so
Yeah.
if you have a basement, your old furniture ends up down here. So we kind of got the chill spot going. So there's potential for the future.
Yeah, we got big future plans, but we're just trying to get steady and consistent, and then we'll add as we grow.
Yeah, and hopefully our time slot works for you too. I know there's NFL pregame stuff on cable and streaming, so I think we fall just before that. So we're in this little
Yeah, the
kinda-
good shows start at 11. We aim to kind of be done around 11-ish.
Yeah.
We definitely don't expect many live viewers around 12, but
But we're just in time if you need some last minute fantasy advice or just a little entertainment in your Sunday morning.
and then even after the fact, for the people that watch after the fact, you can just still hopefully catch a good show that had a little something. Miss Ella's picks, how about that? She was on fire last week, and I couldn't wait to tell her. Usually I end up telling her before we go on live today how she did, because she doesn't necessarily care during the week. She's in and out of watching when I'm watching, but exciting week. There's a lot of good parts of the show that people can watch after the fact if you don't
Yeah.
watch live.
I
But
think we cover a wide breadth of segments, and there's something for everybody.
and we're going to have to adapt here in the future, because with fantasy football obviously not going on forever, we want to still keep making content, and we still want to have a weekly show with shorts throughout the week. And
Yeah.
we are going to dive in to a fantasy hockey league and a fantasy basketball league.
I'm going to be honest, Mike. I have not followed hockey since the Red Wings kind of lost their playoff streak.
So
So it's been a few years, and same with basketball. I've always been in and out. 04 Pistons, that was a pretty big time for me. I remember all those
I think
guys
that makes
going
for
to
fun
work.
content, though.
Yeah.
I actually like that.
We're going to be total noobs in this, but
So
that's all right.
I haven't ever played fantasy hockey sports.
We did a basketball league in the past.
So I've done fantasy basketball a few times. I pretty much got a good grip on how that goes. I do watch both sports ridiculously, but for fantasy sports, for that content, we'll just jump into that, and we'll do an auto draft format, and we'll just do it with strangers, and we'll just follow along. So as we do future content after the fantasy football season ends, we can talk about that, and we'll still talk about other sports happenings and light
Yeah.
stuff, and
I
we
think
want to
we're
adapt.
still, I think we'll still be football focused. We'll give you some, off-season news, kind of gear
Oh,
up
yeah.
for the next year.
100%. We
No.
just want to keep tuning in every week. We'll still have something for you.
Yeah.
And
If
then
it's not every
especially-
week, maybe every 2 weeks. We might get a little off season in the summer. I don't know, but
For sure. And we'll
We'll
visit
see, yeah.
fantasy baseball content in the future as well, just to keep touching on some fantasy sports. But obviously, fantasy football is our bread and butter, and this
Yeah.
has become one of America's pastimes as well. People love playing this. I can't tell you how many people come into the restaurant. Hey, my fantasy team's doing this, or oh man, my fantasy team's 1-4, blah blah blah. So very exciting. I love fantasy sports. Hopefully, we can keep some content coming for you, and glad we could help out some people in the chat this week.
yeah, that's just what we like to see.
Yeah.
It definitely helps with the content of the show. We're not just going with what we wanted to go with. It just gives us
So-
some variety and helping people. We're engaging. That's awesome.
So, and again, we said we touched on the bye week next week for the fantasy show. We are going to be out of town in different areas. I'll be at a football tailgate. I look to bring some kind of action to the show. Another political ad. Look to bring some kind of action to the channel next week, whether shorts or something. Like I said, Cleveland tailgating is off the charts, so I'm definitely going to be making content there. I'll have live content from the game, and
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Maybe we could do a short little segment. I don't know. I haven't tried the Skype thing out yet. We could stream a Skype section. Just the two of us will be obviously remote, both from the.
I like
our
that because I
studio.
got an idea, and maybe we'll talk after the show, and we'll figure out how we can hammer that home. And if we do, we'll figure out promoting that thing. But
Yeah,
we definitely want to bring some kind of content next week, but we won't have our regular content.
yeah. So
How do you feel about this week? I feel like we covered our
good.
typical format.
Yeah, we covered it. We're still figuring some things out. We still haven't started right at 10 yet, aside for maybe your
Sure.
first week. But
No, I was
No.
behind on the first week too, so that's why I've been promoting these things
Yeah,
as saying
so-
around 10, but we're trying to be live at 10. Eventually, we're going to get to that point.
and I think that since I've joined, we've kind of gotten closer and closer. We haven't made a step away from that.
Exactly. And that was the goal. We just want to get better.
Yeah.
Obviously, I hope people don't think we got on here and expected to be Scott Van Pelt or Pat McAfee or anything.
No.
But
Uh-uh.
shoot, man, the nerves
Hey,
are definitely down.
I'm having fun. I mean,
I'm definitely
that's
having
what it's
fun.
all about, right?
And
Just-
it's nice during the week to have something to look forward to. I do put a lot of work into this stuff, just even making the clips for Ellis stuff or the gambling clips or even doing these shorts and then still doing a 59-hour work week trying to
holy moly.
yep, fit this stuff in. So, I'm trying to be a busy guy, but this is the passion. This is what I love. Hopefully we can continue to get better because by no means do I think we're good or great,
Yeah, well, we're
but
getting
I
there.
do
We're-
think we can get there. I
Yeah.
believe that for sure.
Oh yeah,
So
we've been sprucing up the set here. We got some extra props. I got the lion's tail going up here too. We got some Red Wings. The Mike's got his Bengals. We got-
Houday. Houday all day.
we got
I
the
will
Indians
never not
helmet.
Houday.
You can see
I
that
got my
very well.
old Indians helmet, and I'm still a Tigers fan again. Great season by the Detroit Tigers. Round of applause. Can't wait to see the boys again next year. And also, good luck to the Guardians going forward. And also, remember, me and all my homies hate the New York Yankees. I hope you do too. But I
Well,
don't
screw
know.
the Yankees. We're gonna wave the lion's tail for good luck against Dallas. We gotta, tackle our demons there.
Yeah, hopefully the Lions can pull out a victory today. I don't like the Cowboys.
America's team. That's a load of crap.
Yeah. Who ever said that? You can say that about anybody.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think with that, we will sign off and we will catch you next week. Be sure to keep an eye on the clips. I mean, we do have a bye week, but we're going to have some stuff there for you. But yeah, I wish you the best of luck in all of your fantasy endeavors this Sunday.
Good luck, everybody. Thanks for tuning
Thanks
in.
for
Go
tuning in.
Guards. Woo!
All right.